Our review found some excellent police work to identify and manage the highest risk gang members through a combination of targeted surveillance, enforcement and arrest for any offence, however minor, and positive offers of training, employment and drugs treatment for those who want a different life. But for those not prepared to break away from violence, they will face harsher and tougher punishments. That's why we will consult on making a new offence of possession of an illegal firearm with intent to supply, and on whether the penalty for illegal firearm importation should be increased. We're also consulting on whether the police need additional curfew powers. It's why we're extending the new gang injunctions to 14 to 17-year-olds, for example, to stop gang members entering rival territory, prevent them being in public with dangerous dogs, and requiring them to undertake positive activities. And it's why we're strengthening our laws on weapons possession. So anyone, including offenders aged 16 or 17, convicted of using a knife to threaten and endanger others, will now face a mandatory custodial sentence. And any adult who commits a second very serious violent or sexual crime will now face a mandatory life sentence. But this is not solely a police and criminal justice programme. All of the agencies that young people deal with, from teachers to health service workers and social services, need to develop better systems for identifying high-risk individuals, sharing information and working together. Simply throwing more money at the problem is not the answer. We need a more intelligent approach. Finally, to support local areas, we will target Home Office funds at those places where the most serious gang and youth violence problems exist. So we will provide £10 million in funding next year to support up to 30 local areas. And we will invest at least £1.2 million of new resources over the next 3 years to improve services for young victims of sexual violence in our major urban areas, with a new focus on the girls and young women caught up in gang-related rape and abuse. Mr. Speaker, for too long, communities have lived in fear of gangs. Many young lives have been ruined, many young lives have been lost. The summer showed that it is time for society to take a stand. It's time for a long-term programme, with intervention at each stage of vulnerable people's lives. It's time for a locally led approach, with agencies working together and sharing information. And it's time for tough enforcement, to be backed up by work to address the root causes of gang and youth violence. That is what our programme will deliver, and I commend this statement to the House.